Hey, Focus Tribe. Welcome back to the Focus Lab, your go-to lab for faith, focus, and the occasional financial gut check. I'm your host, Tanwa Ashiru, and today's episode is for that part of you that looks at your bank account and says, no, this cannot be life. So here's the deal. I was told that the wise King Solomon of Proverbs fame actually said that we're supposed to have 7 streams of income. And I said, yeah, well, let me see it. Show me the verse. Well, it turns out Ecclesiastes 11:2 is that verse. And let me read it to you real quick in NIV. It says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon your land. My people, this isn't just financial advice. It's a great strategy. Solomon was basically saying, listen, diversify before life comes at you sideways. So let me tell you about a flight that I took that really helped me change my focus. So I'm on this flight, and you know that kind of flight where you're tired. I mean, you've been sleeping, long flights, been sleeping, you wake up, you're tired of sleeping, and your seatmate has that, you know what, let's chit-chat energy. And so we ended up talking for the remainder of the flight, and we discussed this Bible verse. And 12 hours later, we ended up birthing something that we called the Road to 7, R27 for short. And it really was like financial therapy on a flight. But we agreed on some actions. We said, you know what? If Solomon is saying that we must have 7 streams, then let's take some action. So we agreed that we were going to list 7 streams of income and hold each other accountable and work on building 1 stream at a time. When I landed, I pulled out my journal and I titled the page R27. Now, let me tell you, I went through every emotion possible. First of all, I thought to myself, 7, how? I don't even know 7 things I can do. Okay, I know, but how dare I think I can actually do it for money? And then there was some I thought about, I was like, man, Tawa, now you're just tripping, because that's just so far-fetched. Like, how are you even going to do that? And you know what? After a while, I went into that emotion and said, you know what? Whatever. I'm sure I'm going to write it down. Let me fulfill all righteousness. Let me just write it down. And we all know the drill, whatever. I'm writing it down. It's not going to happen, but I'm doing it. And so after that, I also had a solo brainstorming session. And y'all, I literally, just sat there and thought, just write it all down. You never know. So from this brainstorming session, I went from just having one idea of something I could do as an additional stream to I ended up having about 11 different ideas somehow miraculously showed up on this journal. And now, just so you know, not all 11 of them were immediately realistic. But that wasn't the point, okay? The point was to unlock the mindset that says, I am allowed to diversify and I am allowed to think bigger. Now, here's the kicker. And I had to ask myself, which of these streams can actually generate income within 6 months? And then I asked myself, okay, which ones require partnerships or which ones require me to upskill and learn a new skill? I also asked myself, okay, which ones are passion projects that would just require, a little bit of time and patience? So I took stock of all those. Now, if you do not currently have 7 streams of income, and you're interested in trying to come up with your list, then I want you to grab a blank sheet of paper and let's try and brainstorm on your R27 together. Now, this is a brain dumping exercise, okay? You're going to title it Road to 7. And first of all, I want you to write down any and all possible ways that you can earn additional income. Don't judge this list. This is the issue that I had. I didn't even allow myself just dream, for crying out loud, right? So don't judge the list. Just dump it all there. Don't worry about whether it's feasible or not, all right? Don't be hard on yourself. Now, remember when I wrote mine down, interestingly, I actually forgot about some income activities until much later. And then I remember. So for example, there was a day where I was doing something and then I got an alert on my phone, which is a deposit notification from my bank. And it came from some stocks that I owned. And I thought, oh my gosh, they had paid dividends on some stocks. I didn't even realize that that was even really a thing. And so from that moment, I thought, I need to go ahead and add dividends as an additional source of income. And I started being a bit more strategic about it. After I added it on my list, I got a bit more strategic about it and realized that, okay, how about I now channel and focus my energy on buying stocks that are what we call dividend paying stocks, so that even though I own the stocks, they're appreciating, but then those companies are still paying me dividends as an additional source. So that didn't come about when I initially wrote the list. It came about much later. So don't be hard on yourself. Let's be flexible about that list. Next, I want you to try to categorize your ideas. I want you to think of the short-term streams, which are the ones that will generate from 0 to 6 months. I want you to think of some mid-term streams, which are 6 to 18 months, so about 6 months, about a year and a half. And then your long-term legacy plays, all right, those would be about 2+ years. And let me give an example of what, I did for a short-term stream. Obviously, we're dividends, so I started buying maybe more dividend stocks so that I could get regular deposit and credit notifications for dividends that are being paid to me. But then for midterm, I sat down, and this was one of those, oh my gosh, can I really do it or not? I thought, you know what, let me go ahead and look into real estate investment as well. And so that was another thing that I did. So that would be more of a 6 to 18 month, because it took a long time from identifying the house that I wanted to buy to getting the financing options, eventually closing on that house. So again, that was a little longer. And then I have the much longer sort of legacy plays, which are 2+ years. So those ones might involve sort of initially setting up a business that you want and so on. Okay. Now, just in case you're like drawing a blank, you're like, where do I even start from? Okay, start from at least write your 9 to 5. If you currently have a 9 to 5, if you currently have something that's earning you some form of income, go ahead and write that down. At least that's your first stream. Okay. And next, you can think of freelance gigs. Are you good at photography? Right? You can write that down. For me, for example, one of the things that I'm really good at is emceeing or comparing an event. And so when I wrote down my R27, I wrote on there, okay, be an MC and actually get paid for it. And that was one of the things that I wrote down. So it's a freelance gig. I'm not very serious about it, but I do it occasionally. And that was an additional source of income for me. What about digital products? What about learning a little bit on Canva on how to create a journal, and go ahead and create one, put it on Amazon for sale, and that's an additional stream of income. Real estate, investing. I took a course on the stock market. I had to learn how to trade. And I did that. And I was able to then invest in stocks and then earn. So buy low, sell high. And a lot of the money that I earned from that, I was even able to use it towards purchasing a home when I wanted to go ahead with that option as well. So you want to think about investing in regular stocks. By the way, from the course I also learned how to trade in NGX, so the Nigerian stock market as well, not just the US stock exchange. So it's a very, very good skill to have. Think of coaching, consulting, training. Are you good at something? Is it makeup? Gather a group of girls together, train them, charge each person for that, okay? And so on and so forth. So think of so many different things you can do. Teaching, speaking, whatever you're good at. Also think of anything that you're really good at. So if people have told you, wow, you're a natural, like they said about me with maybe, being an MC, wow, you're natural, you should do this. And I thought, okay, well, let me do it for money. Why not? So think of something that you're just naturally good at, and perhaps that could be an additional stream of income for you. So now ideas are cute, but income doesn't come from intention. It actually comes from execution. So here's what you need to do next with your list, okay? I want you to pick your top 3 streams that you have identified to start with those. And then second thing you're going to do is to assign deadlines. When do you want each one to start producing? So just give it a deadline. And I know I did this when I decided I was going to come up with some digital products as well. So I was very intentional about identifying that and learning the skills I needed to learn to make it happen. And I gave myself a date as to when I would go ahead and publish. So assign your deadlines, okay? That will keep you accountable. And then next, you want to add sort of your monthly action steps, okay, into this, into your planner. Remember I said, It's one thing for you to say, I want to do this. It's another thing to actually schedule it into your day as a time block. So one thing that I did, especially when I wanted to learn a new skill, I had to schedule it in my time block. And it was a time from when I would get home after dinner, after the kids are in bed, then that was my 1 hour of sort of learning. Or if it's same thing, if you want to use that hour or that time to actually develop your another stream of income, that would be the time. So I need you to actually find a time block to put that in there. And finally, get an accountability partner or a community like this one, like the Focus Tribe. All right. And then we would help keep you accountable to make sure that you're moving in the right direction. And let me give you a pro tip. Focus on building one stream well before chasing 7. All right. Solomon said, diversify. He didn't say do it all in 1 week. All right. So be patient with yourself, but be very strategic, be deliberate, and be intentional. So, all right, let's go ahead and land this episode. All right. Here are key takeaways that we can all agree with. Takeaway number 1, you need more than one stream. Because one salary is not a strategy for financial freedom. It simply isn't, all right? Takeaway number 2, Ecclesiastes 11 verse 2 has given you the biblical permission to slip into diversifying your income, all right? Takeaway number 3, don't let fear or imposter syndrome shrink your list. Dream boldly, dump it all on that paper, just write it down, okay? And then plan wisely. Takeaway number 4, R27 is a journey. You don't have to rush it, all right? Build your income like you're building a legacy with faith, with focus, and with fire. Now, if this episode sparked something in you, I want you to send it to your money accountability buddy and tell them we're building streams this year, Solomon style. And hey, if you haven't already, I need you to go ahead and grab a copy of the Focus Light Daily Planner and start mapping out your R27. The planner gives you space to think, to build, and to reflect with clarity. And until next time, stay growing, stay grounded, stay focused.